This podcast is brought to you by our friends at Minimal Case. Minimal is so excited about the Pixel 4, they're giving you 25% off your order for the brand new Pixel 4 case that you're going to pick up. The Pixel 4 is beautiful, and you want a case that is so thin and light, it'll keep that phone as beautiful as the day you bought it. And to make that even sweeter, here's 25% off your order. Just use promo code DIGITPIXEL4 at checkout, because this is a Digit Daily, and you're celebrating the Pixel 4. But you can use this code for any case for any phone. Once again, go to mnmlcase.com and use promo code DGITPixel and the number 4 to get 25% off your order, and we thank them for sponsoring this podcast. Good morning, Digit fam. Adam Doud here, bringing you another dose of all the tech news you need to know. And today is the 1-year anniversary of our launch. That's right, you've been listening to me flap my gums for a whole year now. I'm honestly not sure which is the real anniversary. We launched on the 22nd, but we launched with episodes dating back to the 15th, which can only mean one thing. I get 2 birthdays. So let's get to it. It is October 22nd, 2019, and this is your Digit Daily. As is becoming something of a tradition here on the Digit Daily, it is time to dive into the reviews of the latest flagship to drop. This time, we look at the Google Pixel 4. Now, we've already talked a lot about the Google Pixel, but up until now, most of what I've said here has been, speculative. You really have to reserve judgment on a phone until the official reviews drop, so now is the time when we can go in and pull out all the juicy tidbits that completely vindicate our opinions thus far. And we will start our search with Chris Carlin at Android Authority, who writes, "This has been a tough review to write. Google has historically gotten a bit of a pass with previous Pixel's flaws because the camera was just so great. Even though the Pixel 4 camera is still the best on a smartphone in my opinion, it's a lot harder to recommend this year's Pixel. Yes, the camera is amazing. The software is excellent. The performance is impressive. The design is bold. The build quality is excellent. The screen is fantastic. But now we're going to circle back to Android Authority in a little bit, but for now we will move on. Joanna Stern's Wall Street Journal headline reads, "The smartest smartphone you probably won't buy." Ouch, Joanna, try to keep the gloves up. Well, there she writes, "Over the past week, there were plenty of times, whether I was snapping photos of my dog or conducting an interview, when I preferred the Pixel 4 to the iPhone 11. But to be honest, there isn't enough here to incentivize me to leave the comfort of an iPhone. Plus, there's no way I'm parting with the crazy good battery life of the iPhone 11. Dieter Bohn over at The Verge has a more friendly take on the phone, saying, "The experience of using a Pixel 4 is better than any other Android phone." And he goes on to say, what we've said here before, starting at $799 with a small screen and a small battery and small storage, you'll probably end up going with the larger option, the bigger battery, and more storage. And while he knows that the price may be high for what's on the spec sheet, buying a Pixel isn't buying a spec sheet. It's buying the software, the camera, and new features like SOLI and radar tracking. And that is a fair point. Chris Velasco over at Engadget says, "I can't remember the last time I've been so torn on a pair of smartphones. On the one hand, Google didn't nail everything. Face Unlock is in need of a fix, the battery life is mediocre at best, Motion Sense, as magical as it feels when it works right, isn't very useful yet, and the price for the smaller Pixel 4 seems a little out of whack when you consider Apple's new iPhone 11 packs a highly competitive feature set for $50 less. Despite all that, I can't help but love these phones for their clean, clever software, their weird cameras, and their ambition." Have you noticed all the comparisons to iPhones here? Especially since last year, Chris Carlin at Android Authority wrote that the Pixel 3 was Google's iPhone. Oh, and then there's the fact that the Pixel 4 looks exactly like an iPhone. But anyway, finally we get to Marquez Brownlee, who says, "This isn't a phone I'm going to go around recommending to everyone. It still needs a bigger battery, it needs more storage, and it's generally not complete for most people. And are you catching the theme here? Battery, storage, yeah, it's remarkable." He goes on to say that if you're part of a tiny group of people that like fast updates and high refresh rates, you'll gladly overpay for the phone. He also mentions the camera in that tiny group of people, but I don't think that's right. I think most people use their phones for cameras, unless of course he's acknowledging the fact that the tiny group in question knows that the Pixel camera is the best out there. Whatever the case, he recommends it for that niche of people. And I have to say, this is the first Pixel phone that I have been really tempted to go out and get. And if not for the battery, I'd be digging through my couch cushions to find all the spare change I could just to chip in. Which is weird, right? And it might have something to do with that astrophotography. We talked before about Android Authority's review, but what we didn't talk about were the astrophotography shots taken by Chris Carlin, Adam Molina, and David Amell at Android Authority when they went out to Montauk, which is at the very tip of Long Island in New York. And they took some of the most beautiful photos that I have ever seen of starscapes and moons and Hyundais that I have ever seen. Well, maybe not the Hyundais part, but still, the photos are gorgeous, and I will link to them in the show notes. So maybe that's why I'm really lusting after this phone, but I guess we'll ponder that and other important life decisions while we head into the Roundup! A team at Telecom Paris has developed a touch interface made to look like skin, like human skin, that can work on the back of a phone or as a laptop touchpad. It's called Skin On, and I get that. It acts like skin, and you can stroke it, and poke it, and pinch it, and tickle it, and yes, this is getting a little bit more gross or intimate, and I'm not sure which makes me more uncomfortable. But overall, this is a really cool 3D interface, more than just a touchpad. There's a lot of potential here, but the main problem is they basically made it look like a lump of flesh, and just no. Last week, we talked about Meetup.com and the massive price hikes they unleashed on their unsuspecting public. At the time, I said they would walk it back pretty quick, and yes, they did, claiming that it was just a small trial among a select number of users. Also, Meetup.com doesn't know how to lie. I mean, spin. The final trailer of the Star Wars saga dropped yesterday during Monday Night Football, and it's a really great trailer that makes me want to see the movie. It's just too bad I had to sit through a boring-as-hell football game to see it, and wait, what? They put it up on YouTube at the same time as it was on the football game? Mother... Well, there's 3 hours of my life I'll never get back. I suspect this will basically be a 3-hour fan service love fest, which is fine after 9 movies and almost 40 years. Tickets are on sale now, BT Dub, so go secure your seat 2 months in advance. I kind of want to make fun of that, but I'm also pretty sure that I bought Endgame tickets around 2 months in advance, so yeah, never mind. Sorry, I'm still thinking about that lump of flesh and... No. Would you like $125,000? Good news! You can sell your face to an anonymous client in the robotics industry. A company called GeoMeek is working on behalf of an anonymous third party to run a contest to find a friendly face that can adorn robots designed to help the elderly. One might say they're the public face of this company. I'm sorry. Users who want to participate can send in a photo of their face, and if selected, they'll sign away all rights to their face and be paid the money. And then, presumably in about 40 years or so, they'll ask themselves to fetch their cane from the bedroom, which won't be weird at all. And finally, this is a public service announcement. Tip your Uber drivers. I mean, actually, you probably shouldn't be taking Ubers at all because Uber is kind of like the Facebook of ride sharing. But, I mean, what are you going to do? Take a cab like some kind of animal? But anyway, if you take an Uber and they're good people, leave them $1. Because most people don't. According to a study, less than 1% tip on every trip, and that's fine. I get not every trip. Some driver out there is going to be a real jerk, or even worse than me, if you can imagine such a thing. But of the 40% of riders out there who have ever tipped, it's only on like 1 in 4 trips, and that just seems low. Tip your drivers, folks, especially if they keep those little water bottles in the back seat. I love those people. One dude in Vegas even had a little mobile hotspot in the back of his car, and that is a guy who knows his audience. So that's going to do it for today's Digit Daily. If you'd like to learn more about any of these stories, check out the links in the show notes and subscribe to our daily newsletter on Digit.com. And if you like what you heard, subscribe, leave a review, and don't forget to tell your friends about DigitDailyPod.com. Once again, I'm Adam Doud, Dead Technology on Twitter, and we'll talk again tomorrow.